is motivated to explore and develop alternative curriculum and inquiry approaches for teachers. This, along with a deep commitment to the development of a strong educational system in India, led Anurupa to join Teach for India. Currently a selection manager at TFI, she works to improve the selection process for candidates to maximize their impact on students and their communities. Ma'am.
Okay, hands up in the air. Okay, turn to the person next to you and shake their hand. Okay, great. Sit back down. Okay, so one thing I've realized in the past 1 hour is that females indeed have lower blood circulation as I'm freezing. So in the event that I begin to shake or my voice shakes, please pardon me. So we're talking about inspiration, and I think that there's been a lot of engineering bashing and all that stuff going on, which is fine, but the fact of the matter is that all of us came to this profession for some reason or another. So I did my undergraduate and my graduate school in electrical engineering from MIT, and I was sitting in your place exactly about a decade back when Wendy Kopp, the founder of Teach for America, came to talk to me. And I sat there thinking to myself that as an engineer, what are the types of skills and the types of tool sets that I've been given through this education, and what can one do with that? So before I get into my own story, I want to talk a little bit about what Teach for India does, who we are, and then I'll wrap up. I'm going to be very quick because it's very cold and it is getting rather late. And again, as a teacher, I know that the average attention span for adults are 55 minutes. That's why college classes were created to be 55 minutes. So I can only imagine your focus level right now, so I'm going to be quick. Again, if you do have any questions, please do find me after the talk, okay? Okay, so I need you guys to all stand back up again. Okay. So imagine that you are the 320 million children in India, school going, okay? Which means you're about 4 or 5 years old. Now I need the first 10 people in this corner to sit down. 10 of you. Thank you. Okay, can someone in the audience tell me, again, you are the school-going children of India. What is the difference between those who are standing and those who are sitting? Scream it out loud.
Punishment.
Okay, they're sitting. What else?
Punishment.
They're comfortable. Okay. Gosh. So they're the 4% of Indian students that never ever get to go to a school, which means they never have any form of formal education. They've never walked the gates, they've never held a pencil, they've never seen a notebook, they've never taken notes, they probably never learned what gravity is, okay? Now I need this entire half to sit down. What do you think this represents now? Loudly? Okay, so having gone to college, great idea. What else? Primary education, great. So in India, only 58% of students go past the 5th standard. I need all of you guys to close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself in the 5th standard. What were you like? And now imagine if your education had stopped at that moment, what access to opportunities, what access to future careers, paths, we're talking so much about leadership, what access to that leadership would you have? Now I need everybody to sit down except a few of you here. Everybody else sit down. You guys keep standing. Now what's the difference between those who are standing and those who are sitting? Okay, I heard it. So the 90% of Indians don't step foot on a college campus, okay? So they have no access to all the resources that, for example, you guys have on campus. I need you guys to sit down. What does this look like for the development of India? So we talk so much about reform. Every single person on this panel thus far has been talking about whether it's social entrepreneurship, whether it's a social venture to lift people out of poverty. When you have 90% of a population who are not reading and writing at with high critical thinking, who do not have access to similar resources, that development automatically is stunted. And that's really when Wendy Kopp from Teach for America came to talk to me. We all want to address the root cause that we believe to be the reason why a country is in stagnation. Some people talk about healthcare. Some people talk about education. Some people talk about just human rights, so legislation and policy. But for me, my root cause, what I believe to be the fundamental darkness at that time in the United States, was the lack of equal education. Okay, and Wendy Kopp, in her senior thesis at Princeton, she gave rise to the vision that one day every single child in the world will attain an excellent education. So what is Teach for India's model? Teach for India's model is saying that if we have this goal that we need to eradicate educational inequity in the country, we need a movement of leaders. Okay? Why do you think I say a movement of leaders? Why not a movement of teachers? Scream it out. Why do you think it's not sufficient to have a movement of highly skilled teachers? So Finland, for example, they were able to solve most of their problems just by increasing the quality of teaching and the quality of teacher training. Why is that not sufficient in India?
Large population.
Okay, leaders can take initiative. What else?
Not enough teachers.
Those who don't do teach. Oof, that was a rough stab to my heart. Because the fact of the matter is that the reasons that are crippling our education system today are not educational. And that's precisely what Teach for India strives to go against, is if we can get our youth, our most powerful engineers, people from law backgrounds, people from medical backgrounds, if we can get them in the classroom and we can help them understand what are the reasons why kids aren't achieving. So I was a program manager at Teach for India, and I managed 25 fellows last year. So I was in schools all around Bombay, and I began to see that in one slum where we had a school, you had children coming from a slum called Ambujwari, which is most of the migrant workers from Lucknow. And the reason why they weren't able to perform at the level that they should is because they didn't have electricity, they didn't have sanitation. That was the reason that community was struggling. In another very, very conservative community in Govandi, the reason why they were not succeeding was not electricity, was not sanitation. Their root cause was the fact that they had a religious belief that were getting their girls married off at 11. So at every different part of India, because we have such a diverse country, there are different reasons crippling the education system. It's not just teaching, it's not just teacher quality, it's just not a lack of healthcare, it's not a social issue, it's a very complex web of many things. And that's why Teach for India strives to build a movement of leaders. Because the fact is, not just one sector is going to be able to solve public education in India, it's going to be the convergence of all the sectors, from media to journalism to teacher training to technology to rural development, to stop the migration. Right now we have some 1 million people coming into Bombay every day looking for work. Now you just imagine, what does that do for the public school infrastructure of Bombay? So believe it or not, like, it's not that bad. I went up and down Bombay on the train, visiting hundreds of schools, public schools, to get an idea of, I've heard they're so bad, such bad infrastructure. That's not the problem. The problem is that the infrastructure today is meant for X number of people. Just the next day, Y, which is a number greater than 10,000, come in, and that same school that had infrastructure on T plus 1 day, that infrastructure is now not good enough anymore. Right? So then the root cause becomes rural migration and not teacher training. So I think you're getting the point. So Teach for India really uses this framework. It's called Teaching is Leadership. I don't think you can see it very well, so I'm going to have to read it out for you. So just really in terms of what we've been talking a little bit about, what does leadership mean? And how does one become an effective leader? And so we must have a very strong plan, execute, and as you're executing, continuously improving your effectiveness, and then reflecting to always improve your practices. So very often, the reason I wanted to show this framework is people say that what is Teach for India in it for me? What sort of skills do I get to develop as a professional or as an entrepreneur? And this is really what we work on, both to make sure that your students are achieving at the levels they need to, and that you are acquiring the skills that you must need at the end of the 2 years to go on and make the mark that you would like to leave. So I want to end here because I just think it's rather late. So please do find me. And just that main key takeaway is India needs a vision. As I go and I reread her constitution that was written in 1947, I've been trying to understand what series of events from when the British ran out to today has caused, what sort of policy, legislation, lack thereof has caused, and it's led me to so many directions. And that's when I realized that we need every single sector on board. Because if you look at why things aren't working here, you can't even bring it down to 10 sectors. It's the whole system. And if we can infiltrate our leaders into every single sector, that's the only way we're gonna get to see the country that we'd like to see. Okay? So yeah, find me later. Thank you.